everybody. This is Paula Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pau, and I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and Her Network on Single TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download Single TV app on the respective app stores. The app is totally free. You can find Single TV in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV Stick, Roku Stick, and all smart TVs from 2016 and forward. Welcome, everyone. Today we have a beautiful guest. She's a beautiful author that's going to be talking to us about her new book, The Magic of Dreaming Big, Acting Small, and Achieving Success. Our Coach D is here in the house. Dominika, welcome. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Paula. Hello, everybody. I am so glad to be back.
Yeah, so please, share with us about your new baby. Tell us what was the reason that inspired you to read to write the book.
Well, I'm going to start with questions for you and the audience because, it's end of the year. We all set goals, we all have plans. And what happens to a lot of us is that we get overwhelmed and we take on so much, on ourselves that at one point, 2, 3, 4 weeks in, we stop lagging and then we find excuses why not to do something. And then we go back to our old habits. And what I have found is that although I am absolutely the biggest fan of Tony Robbins and he has absolutely changed my life, and Jay Shetty and all those amazing people, they all are talking about only one way of dreaming big and taking massive action and taking those huge steps. And when I was in a place in the past and even now, of overwhelm or, I had dreams, but when my brain couldn't see the path, I would just stop doing anything. I don't know if that relates to you, but if the goal is too big, I was like, no, never mind. I'm not going to achieve that anyway. Now, it could have come from self-worth. It could have come from different things, but life is quite complex. And very often when we are not in a place of tragedy, that if we don't change it, we will die, the massive action doesn't work because it is overwhelming, because we have only so much energy to push through, let's say, a month or two, and then we go like a deflated balloon. Psst. Does that relate to you or anybody you know?
Yes, definitely. Yes. It's like, hey, you get the idea and you think, you build it in your head and you're like, yeah, it is possible. I'm capable. I can do this. And then once you take the first step, second step, third step, then you're like, hang on, what am I doing? This is new. I don't know anything about finances or accounting, or it's like, how am I going to, accomplish it if I don't know and I don't know the people that could, help me through this. So yes, I definitely can relate.
Yeah. And I have found that all my clients that come to me, they're all in some stage of an overwhelm. Let me give you an example of a young lady who came to me. She left her job because she dreamed of being an interior designer. Beautiful woman, phenomenal, successful. She was making 150K a year. And after 5, 6 months, she got so overwhelmed that she hired me and she goes, I'm failing. I'm like, what are you failing at? I'm not going to make it. I'm like, what are you not going to make at? Well, I have this and I have that, and I'm not making enough money. And, I didn't substitute my income. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. So let me ask you a question. When you started this job, how many years ago was that? She goes, well, 12. I'm like, okay, good. What was your first salary at that job? She goes, well, 35K. I'm like, fantastic. So it took you 12 years to get to 150K. Yeah. How long exactly have you been running your business? And she's like, 5 months. I'm like, So you won't in 5 months achieve 150K. And what took you 12 years to do in a regular job where you had people doing your marketing, doing your sales, doing your website, setting up appointments, supporting you in IT, supporting you in admin. And she's like, I did have all that. I'm like, you did have all that. And what happened with her, like with everybody else that I work with, and a lot of women, feminine energy really doesn't do well with massive action. Um, what happened is that we create those goals that are just so huge, and then we assume that, this period of time we're just going to take massive action, everything is going to work, and then we get overwhelmed, then we get discouraged, and then we quit. And the magic of dreaming big, acting small, and achieving success is exactly for those people who have not went through severe trauma, people who, for example, get overwhelmed easily, who set up goals that are unachievable, because those goals can be unachievable. See, my brain, for example, and I talk about this in the book, does this weird thing that if the goal is too big, I just stop. If I don't see an ability to win, I don't compete. I only will compete if I see the possibility of me winning, because I'm not going to waste my energy on being fifth or sixth. Now, that is a very masculine way of thinking, and also very specific way of concentrating on a goal. What if, just what if, what I suggest in the book, we would concentrate on the process? What if, instead of the goal being the ultimate place that we're going to, is we would set a goal that is achievable, that it's easy to celebrate. One of the things that what we do is that we create those goals that are just basically impossible to dumb down. So we don't have the daily activity. And that's what we're focusing on in the book. Daily activity, not action. And there's a huge difference, as you know, between action and activity. Action is like, yes, I'm going to do it. This is awesome. And you just go full power, and then you go. Activity, there's small, easy steps that are repeated every day, no matter what. What is the beauty in activity? Well, first of all, is that we build grit, because there will be days that you will not feel like doing anything. Trust me, I get those days. If it's easy, your brain will really not sabotage you. See, our brain is creating optimization. It's an optimization machine, because it wants to use as little energy as possible. So that's why it creates habits, which we don't think about. If we don't have to think about, the brain is using less energy, and the brain is going, yeah, I'm doing awesome. The problem is that a lot of those habits are formed just because, not because we wanted them, they just kind of happen. So when they kind of happen is not our responsibility, but when we recognize them, it is our responsibility. The book brings you back to creating tiny little behaviors. Um, our mentor, Joseph McClendon III, he says this one thing. He goes, we all know how to lose weight, but not all of us are skinny. And if you go to a gym for, let's say, a week and exercise 8 hours a day, full on, you're just going to be this exercise machine. How long can you keep it up? And will the results last? And will you be able to achieve the goal that you have? I can guarantee you, you will not. You will not lose the weight. You will not gain the muscle, because the 7 days, even of massive action, is not going to be sustainable. But what it is going to be sustainable is going for a walk every day for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. What is going to be sustainable is letting go of one little thing that is not serving you, because it's not overwhelming. The thing is that when you do that for a long period of time, it becomes a habit. And at one point, you stop thinking about it. And when that happens, you can celebrate and pick up another goal and add that to it. And that is called stacking. What if we would enjoy the progress? What if we would concentrate on the progress? What if the goal will come? I mean, if you keep doing the right things and keep changing and improving yourself day by day, at one point, you will achieve that goal. I was working with one lady at Date with Destiny at Tony Robbins, where I was a crew. And Tony asked her during intervention that she wanted to walk by November, I think 29th next year, somewhere around there. And he goes, what happens if you won't be able to walk? Because she was practicing walking after traumatic experience, most likely was somatic. We didn't get into it why she wasn't walking. She could stand up, walk a few steps, but then she would get tired and sit down. He goes, what would happen if you won't walk? But you'll be able now, You won't be able to perform on stage on November 29th, but you will be able to do so many other things like go to the store. Won't need this. She goes, I will fail. See, she had the mindset, very masculine mindset, that if I don't achieve a goal, I'm a failure. Well, right now you take 5 steps and you sit down. What if, just what if, you can go for a freaking walk and come back home without needing a wheelchair? No, maybe you won't be on stage, but you'll be so much further down the lane. And that will happen at one point, right? And she was so fixated on achieving the goal that she missed all the progress, and she was missing all the progress she was making, which in turn didn't allow her to celebrate, which in turn, basically, she stressed herself out, and the brain didn't feel the energy. The celebration is so important for us because if it feels good, we want to do it more. Because we're not for kids, I can say this, that physical intimacy, if it wasn't pleasurable, we wouldn't have kids. As simple as that. And this wouldn't be a driving factor for so many people. We seek out pleasure. So if we know as humans we seek out pleasure, why don't we retrain the progress in our life based on small steps and pleasure that we can deliver from celebrating those little achievements? Because when you do that, cortisol level drops, you stop worrying, and you actually see your progress and you enjoy doing that. At one point, it's not a goal, it's something you just love doing, and things just start to happen. So,
Yeah, there's two things that two things that came to my mind is like either is pleasure or pain that guide us to take action. So there's two factors. It's like we either do it because it's going to be good, or it's because it's going to be too painful and we better run away from it. So yes, so you're bringing this back to us, saying is like do it fun, like each day at a time, build that habit or the building block uh, to move towards.
yes, and it becomes effortless. See, it's not something that you go, oh my God, I got to do 50 phone calls. No, don't do 50 calls. Do three, just three. Because if you do three for 5 days, that's 15 phone calls. That's 15 more than you were doing a week ago, which was a zero. And if you add that up at one point, 3 calls will be so easy that maybe you'll make four. And then four will be so easy that maybe you'll just make five. And then you get so accustomed to it that you go, oh my God, I'm making 20 calls a day and I don't even know when I'm doing that. Why? Because you took away the whole scenario of, oh my God, this is so hard. See, the moment you think this is so hard, so difficult, you will find excuses. What we want to do, we want your brain not to have a chance to create an excuse. We want your brain to go, well, okay, well, this is just, having instead of 2 spoons of sugar in my coffee, I'll have one. Yeah, that's not hard. I can do that. And after a while, when you have one, trust me, that's how I reduce. So when I go to Starbucks once in a while now, I have my other coffee shops where I live. They used to give you 5 pumps of vanilla. Right now, there's no way I can drink anything with 5 pumps because I went for a while, I wanted 4 pumps, then I wanted three, then I wanted two. Now I take one and I'm good. It's perfect. It took time, yet that time allowed me now to basically have coffee that is not, overloaded with sugar, and it's super unhealthy for my brain. Don't tell Dr. Amen that I have sugar in my coffee. He'll be really upset.
But yeah, so I thank you for being here. And what you just talked about is one of the chapters in your book that talks about thinking big can be paralyzing, which I
Absolutely.
found it very fascinating how you broke it down for your audience to understand, that sometimes we get overwhelmed by our big goal. Sometimes we think we're not capable of it, and then a lot of people give up. And without realizing that we're not training our mind, we're not training our brain to seek for those, pleasure moments as we're growing and building our goal. The however you call it. Like today, I'm guessing is your book. Your book started as, okay, I'm gonna, you had to start with the first chapter and then the second chapter and so on. And I bet you probably had times where you're like, forget it, I don't want to do this. So tell us about that.
So that's actually a funny story. So I was saying I already have two books out in a different gender. And I love writing fantasy books. I used to write them under a pen name. They're going to be republished very soon, but that's not what we're talking about. This book is in what I do. It is in my philosophy, also how I coach. And I'm glad that it appeals to so many people because it's less stressful and it allows you maybe one day to get to the point where you burn your boats. But to the point, I was writing the book and I'm like, I'm never writing the book. And I am taking supplements from Dr. Amen. One of them is called Neuralink because I had a lot of things to learn, to memorize, and it helps to kind of activate your neural pathways, memorization. It's just supported. And just literally one day I woke up and like, oh my God, I gotta write this. I literally sat down and 2 days later, this was done. And what happened? Well, this is exactly what's in the book too. See, what did I do? I went into my typical mindset or human mindset or how I was programmed. And I went, okay, what makes a good book? How many words does it have to have? So I went to Google and Google said 30,000 words. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm only at 10,000. That means this is going to be crap. And I stopped myself. I'm like, does longer mean better? Do I think I'm providing value in this book? Yes. Do I think the book can change somebody's life and make it easier? Yes. Am I talking about an overwhelm to people who get overwhelmed? Yes. So wouldn't 30,000 or 40 or 50 or 60,000 words overwhelm them because it's too big and too much? Maybe this is exactly how it's supposed to be because the book has plenty of exercises that will take you a while if you want to. This book will take you a month. Although the chapters are very tiny and small, and some of them have 6 pages, some of them have 7 pages, and that's it. But all of them have examples, practical things you can do. You can ask yourself. You have downloadable, you can have worksheets that you can download and work on things I'm talking about at your pace. And I was like, well, since I believe there is value in there. I mean, I can add fluff, no problem, but is it really fluff the thing that I want in that book? Or do I want this book to be cheap, accessible, and change people's lives? And I'm like, you know what? I don't care what Google says. Because if it's going to help, it really doesn't matter if it's the 64 pages. It doesn't. It matters that it brings value, that it has examples, that it has stories, that it has worksheets, and it has special discounts for other programs. So if somebody is in that stage with overwhelm and always feels like they're failing at life, this is a perfect, quick, or slow read, depending how you're going to access it. Because you can read through it, in one day, absolutely. But if you want to really get to the bottom of this, you can do the exercises, take notes, get on the page, have a chat about it, look for solutions, because it's all about growth and you choose how you grow. And I decided that I'm not going to listen to what everybody says, because if even 2 people or 1 person gets the aha moment going, I can have a phenomenal life without doing a revolution in it. And I can enjoy my life with these simple techniques with neuron coding and brain coaching from Dr. Amen. If I can have all of that just because they read this, and maybe, they're starting their growth journey. Maybe the message of, burn your boats and revolutionize your life is not meeting them where they're at. This is the exact opposite. It shows a different pathway to achieve and to get where you want to go. So I said, well, I guess 64 pages or 67, I don't remember how many pages there are, is going to be just as amazing as 30,000 words. It's not going to be 100 pages. And I'm not going to create something extra just because Google says, just because society says. And I caught myself on thinking the way, we think when we're overwhelmed. Well, definitely this will not overwhelm you.
No, definitely no. It was nice to read it. I enjoyed it with a cup of coffee, of course. And it was, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think I read the first 5, 6 chapters straight.
Straight.
I took a break because you said take a break after each chapter so that we can marinate what I read. So I did that, but in one day I was, and so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I
Um,
recommend it to our beautiful audience because to me, in that point of my journey, it was a beautiful reminder of enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Be grateful for it. You talk also about the magic of celebrating. Sometimes we forget to celebrate the small wins through the day, and like you said at the beginning, it's like we build by stacking, and if we learn to stack those good habits, those good celebrations, then most likely we're going to train our brain to seek for that pleasure of the day that's going to invite us to do those beautiful habits that'll take us to meet our goal or whatever means to our beautiful audience today. Success is different, for everyone. So
yeah, and this came also about, I quote some studies, and there's a Stanford study saying, phenomenal study done on kids, but can be absolutely applied to adults. It was redone with adults as well, where they would praise kids for the outcome that was based on their personality, and then they would praise other group of kids for the process and the hard work they put in, and the little achievements didn't matter really if they passed the test or they didn't, but the work, the creativity, the trying, the effort, all of those things were praised, and it was not connected to their personality. What happened over a long period of time is people who were praised, the kids that became adults that were praised for the effort and trying and looking for a way and working and being persistent, became much more successful because they created the trait of being having grit, and also they were looking for more and more difficult projects because they were not associating that with their personality, who they are. It was fun to be learning new things and having more and more difficult things because the finding out the process became so enjoyable. Kids who are praised for you're so amazing, you're so great, you're going to win this because you're the best, were looking for easier and easier projects, which meant they learned less and progressed slower. And at one point, they kind of got stagnated. And that is so important in raising kids as well as managing people and also managing yourself and your dreams. Because again, if practice what you preach, if you are looking for success, there are many ways of achieving it. Yet, for some reason, our society was just pushing this one narrative. What if there's another one? What if, when we look at and life becomes more enjoyable, if it's more enjoyable, we notice more great things and opportunities. If we notice more things, we're more open to trying new things. We're more open. We start learning new qualities, succeed. And it's so simple yet so forgotten because we're so fixated on your grades, on your final test result, on all those things. And the truth is, I mean, come on, you got a raise at work once, right? How long did you celebrate for? How long did it give you joy for? A week? Maybe 3 days? Probably. And then you got used to it, became your norm, it became your standard. And again, life went back to, I'm okay. Well, if you have every day something to celebrate and you see your progress and you're enjoying that, your life literally changes the quality of your life. And I want this to change the quality of people's life because it is possible. And it takes rewiring, takes hard work. Nothing is going to happen without us doing it and us practicing and us catching ourselves on it. But guess what? Life is exactly what we dare to make it, or what we choose to make it, or what we want to make it. See, again, interesting. That's a very masculine trait, dare to make it. I don't want to dare. I'm inviting you to make your life a better, quality so you get to enjoy it more.
And what I loved about it too is like at the beginning of the book, you teach your readers about science and how the brain uses 20% of your energy, how the brain is meant to keep us just alive. Your brain doesn't care if you're a doctor. Your brain doesn't care if you wrote 10, 10 books that are 30,000 words. Your brain doesn't matter. The job of our brain is to keep us alive. So once I understood that, that it's within me to build those habits, to get out of the just survival mode, but begin to build, a life that I choose to have. And by that means I'm going to have to go against my brain sometimes. And you talk about the comfort zone, as well. It's like how to get out of a comfort zone so that I can grow and build the life that I want, versus my brain just trying to keep me safe. And it's like, we can just lay down all day and we'll be safe, but what about the productivity of the day? What did I get done?
And
So
that's interesting that you bring that up, because I have a very different approach to comfort zone than most people. Because we talk about get out of your comfort zone to learn. You need to, yes, and choose where you want to grow. See, you're the most productive in your comfort zone. When you're outside of comfort zone, you're in a learning mode. You're not going to be productive. The learning curve in any educational system, any company, drops when you're not in your comfort zone. So if you want productivity, do not leave your comfort zone. If you want to grow and learn, choose one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. And the Pareto rule, 80-20, would be perfect for here. 80% comfort zone, 20% outside of a comfort zone to learn and grow. So then when you learn and grow, it's switched back, it expands your comfort zone because you're the most productive there. I don't know how about you, but I'm sure that when you were starting, your journey with interviewing people, I guarantee you that you felt uncomfortable. You had notes, you were nervous, and you didn't know what questions to ask. You had a list of questions that you wanted to ask, right?
yes.
Okay. And now how is that going for you?
Oh, it's much better. I enjoy the journey.
You journey, the stress
I
is
mean,
probably lower.
technology wasn't on my favor earlier, so like but we were here, we made it work. So,
Yeah, and questions, they come out of you and you do prepare, but it's not as meticulous as it was because it became part of your comfort zone.
yeah.
So now it's time, to grow a little bit more. But it took time, and it's so important to allow ourselves to learn and be okay with not knowing, and be okay saying, okay, I'm gonna, if I'm gonna now go and take, I don't know, take my Arabic classes, of course I'm not gonna be great at it because I forgot most of it and I haven't been practicing it. So of course I'm not gonna be comfortable because everybody wants to be amazing, right? Everybody wants to be beautiful. Everybody wants to be phenomenal.
We
We
all want
better
to be accepted, so we're just trying, general population like wants to be accepted. So
absolutely.
it's like there's pain in that, being on that zone that we're growing and learning and failing, right? But it's okay, it's okay, it'll be okay. We'll learn something from it and then we'll apply it, and it'll become easy. There'll be a chunk of that will become easy on our comfort zone. And that's what your book is about,
Yes.
chunking, right? Chunking. So tell us, I mean, New Year's Eve is almost here. People are already probably thinking about it and planning what to do. What advice would you give them?
So I don't know if that will be an advice. I can tell you about how I set my goals, which is very different than what everybody else does. And I played around with it for a while based on Tony Robbins, G. Shetty, Mel Robbins, Les Brown, and all the big names that teach about goal setting. And everybody basically teaches the same thing. And I was, again, being me. I'm like, I don't know. It's not it. I like the feminine flow. I like the being part. So I took parts and bits from different people. And one of the things I do first, I first go through, when I do my goal setting, through all of my achievements, little and big ones, that somebody complimented me, that I've managed to, write the book, or I've managed to, never be late, whatever it is. I write those down during the year. So I'm already in a state of celebration that I can rock this. I can be amazing and fantastic. So that's the first thing. I always choose a place that is beautiful to the eyes. I love beautiful views. It's my thing. So this year I'm going to be in California. I'm flying out to see my friends, and I'm going to be sitting by a Pacific Ocean with a cup of coffee, and I'm going to be doing my goal setting so I can have the view and the sound and the smell and everything else. I enjoy that.
And
And
coffee shops. She
yeah,
loves coffee shops.
he does. He does.
Huh.
Especially with a view. So if anybody wants to invite me,
Yeah.
coffee shop or a place with a view. Anyway, so what I do next is I write down all of my goals, all big and small, huge and tiny. I don't know, I want to have blue nails, whatever it is, everything. It becomes a freaking long list in all areas of my life: financial, relationships, business, health, wellness, all of that. And then I look at that list and I pick one, and there are two rules. It's non-negotiable, and two, it's achievable. One goal like this, and then I choose two other goals that are the easiest to achieve ever. Like the simplest thing, like I'm going to make myself breakfast 3 times a week for first month. Whatever it is, this something that does not require any effort. Why? Because I want to celebrate. I want to feel great about what I'm doing. Well, after I choose those three, I do not throw away all the old goals. I keep them in so-called bucket of goals because I will use them later. Next, what I do, I chunk them down. So I create three easy activities, not actions, the simplest ones to achieve those goals. It can be, get up every day. I get up at 7:30, so I'll be getting up at 7:15. Something very easy that it's very easy to achieve, which will stack and at the end bring result. So then I write them down and I have them on a little piece of paper, always with me, on my phone, on a picture. And when I start the day, I try to do very short meditation, stretch, and then I read them so I can direct my attention to where I'm going. Well, that's not it. I also visualize the final result and I let it go. And that's the most difficult thing that I've learned a while back. So sometimes when you're pursuing something, when men chase, that's usually not a good thing. We want to be pursued, not chased. If I'm being chased, I'm running away. And the same with chasing dreams, chasing goals. We don't want to chase them. We want to pursue them. And what I do, I visualize and I imagine how it feels already having that. And I just let it go. I enjoy the visualization. There's music, I put on different in my head clothes or sounds, taste, all the parts of my body get involved in it. And I do take from Tony Robbins, then I go and I read them out loud, walking around so I can get in my body, but not for hours, not for 5 days, running. No, 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 just walking, enjoying, and taking it in. What happens is that because I had two very simple goals and all of them have right activities in it, not action, I achieved the two easy ones quite quickly. I get to celebrate. So what I do, then I go back to my bucket and I pull out two new goals and I put down activity for them while still working on the big goal. Because if you achieve 2 out of 3, you're doing pretty good, right? And then you get again 2 more. So you already achieved 4. What happens is it gives me the feeling of, oh my God, I'm doing so great, that the more challenging, non-negotiable possible goal, please make sure it's doable. If you're making $500 a month and you decide you're going to make 6 million a month, please don't set that as a goal. That's miracles do happen, but probability of that is slim. So then working towards the bigger goal becomes just something enjoyable because while I'm working on it, there's so many things I'm achieving. And that's how I create my goals list. And I've learned that if I overestimate, if I if my brain doesn't believe, because as you said, your brain will always prove you right. If my brain doesn't believe this is doable, I have to make the goal smaller. There's still the big one, the big dream, but it's not the big vision. It's a big dream. So the visions are smaller and they're achievable. So when somebody goes, reach for the stars, my brain does not see how I can get to the stars, but my brain can see how I can go to the top of the mountain. And from the mountain, when I'm there, I can see the stratosphere. I'm like, well, that's not very far. So next time when I'm at the mountain, I'm going to go for a stratosphere. And when I'm at the stratosphere, I'm like, well, the moon is not very far, right? So
Mhm.
let's go to the moon. And then when I'm at the moon, I'm like, well, I'm actually around the stars. So which one do I want? So instead of going, I'm going to go for the stars, I'm going to go for the still difficult, right? Yet
Yeah.
very achievable. And my brain can see a path how I can get there. And that's the different way of setting goals, which is much more feminine, much more flowy, and much more joyful because it allows you to celebrate constantly the little things you achieve, and it teaches you enjoying the process while achieving the bigger goals.
I love it. I love it. And I wrote it down because I think I'm going to adopt that this year and do a bucket of, of goals and
Yeah,
then just dump them in there. And yeah, I'll try that. We'll be talking, you and I, about this.
I'm glad. There's so many ways, and there's so many ways we can try. These ways I have found after practicing different things work for me. And it had this bucket actually came as an idea a few years back when I set the goals. I was after a training, I had my activities and everything, and have 4 months in, I called my coach and I'm like, I I achieved everything. What's next? And he goes, well, what do you mean, what next? I'm like, I have everything I set for this year, and I'm 4 months in. What do I do? He goes, well, pick another goal. And I realized that I didn't have those other goals because I was so concentrated. I threw them away. So I had to go through the whole process again. So then I've learned my lesson and I literally keep them. And when I check them off, I go, okay, which one is from the easy ones, right? If you achieve the big goal, then you substitute the big goal with another big goal that's achievable. Um, and life is so much more enjoyable, and it allows you to retrain to concentrate on success and on the things that are doing great. If your kid has problem getting up to school, and then out of the blue he gets up 2 days in a row for school on time, what do? Do you celebrate the 2 days, or do you go, see, and another 3 days he couldn't get up? See, most of us will concentrate on those 3 days, not
Yeah.
on those 2 days that they achieved. So we're not creating not the positivity, but the reinforcement on the brain. So the brain goes, oh my God, that felt good. I want to feel like that again. So then you can set a goal. Okay, let's do it for a month. Let's get up on time for just 2 days a week. Can you do that? Because they already did it, they go, yeah, I can do that. And after they did it for a month, you can go, you know what? How about we add another day? Right? So you again stack, because rewiring, changing behavior takes time, because we were doing these behaviors our whole lives, not consciously. It was, we were just doing them on autopilot. And when people say proximity is power, proximity is programming. If you go to a church, this is your proximity, this is who you will become. If you have people who are business people, this is your proximity. This is the programming you will receive, the way of thinking. If your parents are walking around depressed and complaining all the time, this is the proximity. You will be receiving that into your nervous system as a norm, and you will reinforce that and act like this and look for that because it's something you know. So proximity is not only power, it is your identity and who you become. So choose
Yes.
your environment wisely.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your knowledge and this beautiful experience of sharing your baby with us today. Please let us know where our audience can find you. Where can they buy your book?
Okay, well, the book is this is the test print. You can find it on Kindle and Amazon. It is now on pre order on Kindle, and it's coming out on the 10th of January. So that's my baby, and I'm super excited about it. I hope you guys will find loads of value in it. I believe it's priced at 497 or something like that. So no excuses, that you cannot afford it. And then you can find me always everywhere under Your Brain Coach D. Feel free to find me on Facebook, on my page, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Everywhere you go, you can find me either under my name, Dominika Staniewicz, or Your Brain Coach D. Easy to find. I'm here to serve you and support you. I'm so excited I got to tell you about this before end of year. I hope you found loads of value.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today and listening to this beautiful conversation. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Blessings, blessings, and we'll see you soon.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.